Hello and welcome to Current Wave. I'm your host, Ayla Wayman, and in this podcast, we meander through our shared delusions and stumble into ethereal shit talking as we dive into the waves of the human experience. I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoy the ride. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Current Wave. And I'm really excited to have you here. Welcome to season 2. This has been a long time coming. I took a break from recording episodes for several months, and I'm really happy to be here in this new energy, in this new place, in this new year. I am really excited to talk about the energetics of 2026 and the downloads that I'm receiving, the energy that I feel like is moving in. And I think all of us really, really feel and are experiencing and are in this moment with. I've been wanting to do this for like several weeks and it just hasn't been the right moment because I wanted to really like feel synced with that energy and it to be really natural. And it just hit me. So I was able to like make some notes and I just want to go off honestly and really dive into this because I think that we are at this precipice. It feels potent and powerful and alive and everyone I know is tuned in. Everyone's like it feels like this bubble that's about to pop. It feels like right before COVID, it's like this pregnant, overripe energy, and we just don't know what direction we're going to go in. I am on the side of feeling really optimistic about where we're heading as a people, and I think that we're in this moment where it is dicey, it is ugly, it feels really terrible, and I want to speak to that more. I'm going to. Um, but yeah, I think that it's really potent and powerful to be a human on Earth right now. I really think that this is a special moment. I think it is a privilege to be here and to be ushering in this new paradigm, these new times, this new way of thinking and feeling and being is part of why I'm here. And I want to share this little thing that happened, like honestly, I haven't talked about it because it feels weird, but it's coming to me now and I probably will mention it in future episodes. But the night that Trump was elected, I was woken up in the middle of the night. It was like the night after the election, so we like knew the results. It wasn't the night of the election. I just started to get these messages that it woke me up from sleep. I made this recording on my phone and I had that recording there. It was there. I was so nervous about it getting deleted because it was like pure channeling that I made multiple copies of it in my voice note app. And I felt like I was communicating with aliens or like ETs or like some other entity, and I described them in depth in these voice notes, and they were there for months, and I never re-listened to them because there was something so potent about the energy that they held that it kind of scared me, or it just wasn't the time for it. And then I went back to listen to them, and they were all gone. Like all copies of this were gone. And that almost like made me think even more that I was channeling and was talking with these other beings. But the main message and why I bring that up is that what they were telling me was that my role in these times is to be a bridge. Like I am seeing things differently. I'm seeing things from a different perspective. I'm not in any way of thinking too much. And I really agree with that. That's why I have this podcast. I've talked about that a little bit before, but I'm a Gemini. So that energy is really about being a messenger. It's ruled by Mercury. It is this birds and bees and buzziness and connecting dots and communicating those dots that I'm connecting. And I'm really being called to step more and more into that. I also have three planets in the 11th house, which is really about the collective and about groups and networks and bigger things. And so two of those planets in that house are in Gemini, and I want to like be this messenger. I want to be this bridge. I want to connect a lot of different ideas that maybe other people don't see the connection to, or just different people from really different perspectives and backgrounds, because I think that that is vital in these times. And my other episode that I recorded this morning was Shiva Rose, which will be coming out next week. Um, like we were talking about this homogenization of everything, this homogenization of thought, of beauty, of right and wrong. And I think we're about to move in the opposite direction because the pendulum feels like it is swinging really far in that way. Even with like ChatGPT and AI and this new writing style that has emerged that is like everything looks the same and sounds the same, and that's not the point, and that's never been the point. And so coming back to our true diversity of thought and looks and feelings and being as part of evolution. Like evolution, this is also something that I heard and really love. And in order for evolution, sorry, I have like hair all over me. In order for humanity to evolve in a certain way and for that to be like the correct evolution of all of us, we need everyone pushing at all sides. We need the leading edge. We need the tip of the arrow going into the unknown, creating technologies that are maybe scary, that are maybe dangerous, that are maybe like threaten humanity. And we need the laggards like pulling at this end saying, I'm not using that. I'm not doing this. I'm going analog. I'm going in the opposite direction. Like we need that because those are the checks and balances of human evolution. We need it all. And in order for us to really have it all, we need each person standing in their own knowing, their own power, their own orientation toward life and like pushing at this web from all sides in order to move us forward, in order for us to also move forward in this checks and balanced way. And, things are out of balance right now. Like that is true. I think all of us are seeing that. Like the monetary system is out of balance, the political system is out of balance, the power structures are out of balance. Like the power needs to come back into the hands of the people. And I'm going to get to some thoughts on that in this episode, but I wanted to start here because this is what is happening. But we are, if you're here, you probably work like listen to and are in circles that talk about astrology and talk about these different ways that the cosmos are communicating to us on Earth. And I think that that is a key piece in this. And I feel like we can't really speak to this moment unless we speak to the astrology as well. And I am a student of astrology. This is something I am continuously learning and cultivating, and I am by no means an expert. This is not like the field that I um, am well known for in any way. I'm having someone who is an astrologer on, and we're going to be able to go into depth with him on this moment and what is happening and how it applies to you and all of us. But I can't really talk about this without talking about astrology to the point that I know it. So, like, pardon any aspects of this that aren't like exactly correct because I'm a student and I'm learning. And I think that I feel these energies the way that we all feel these energies. So I'm more going to be speaking from that experience and what I'm seeing and hearing and in that. So I'm recording this on Thursday, January 29th. And we are having these big transits happening in February. Like we're in these times that haven't happened for a really long time. And I'm really excited for that and nervous. Like it's kind of intense energy that we're all in. But right now on this day, we have Pluto, Mars, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, all in Aquarius. And some of these are fast-moving planets and stars, like the sun, the sun moves very quickly. It will be out of Aquarius in less than a month's time. And some of these other planets move pretty quickly too. Mercury, Mars, Venus, they're all moving at various speeds. They're here for a little, some of them are here for a little bit, but we have this moment where this Aquarius energy is like turned all the way up. I think the volume of this is super loud, and that's, I think, why we're seeing this like revolutionary energy and this big collective call of like, what is going on? What is going on? And is this correct? And I'm gonna speak to that too. Like, so Aquarius, if we're really tuning in to that energy and having all of these planets in that place, what that's turning up the volume on is that Aquarius is fixed air. It is the water bearer. And the way that I really see that signature, that energy, that sign, that deity almost, is the water bearer is like bringing what is necessary and vital to the collective with that water. And like being in service, Aquarius is a lot about service to the collective, service to this big vision. It's about being visionary. It is about stepping into this broader idea of what is possible. It's an idealist, it's really future oriented, community, networks, the web of life. It's very group centered. It's about doing and creating for the greater good, innovation, revolution, technology, changing systems. And we can all see that right now. Like people are crying out for this. We are crying out for a revolution of the way that our society is structured because it's not working. Like we should not be living like this. And I'm going to circle back on that in a different way as we progress. But this Aquarius energy is really potent and really powerful. And we are also in the age of Aquarius, which is a whole different thing altogether. But I think that that's also turning up the volume on this. Um, and I hope to be able to speak to that with my guest who is an astrologer, of like what the age of Aquarius means. And I have some past episodes where I do reference this because I think it's important and I think it's an energy that's really dictating where we are because we need to think about the collective. We need to care about everyone involved. Um, and we're really calling on this. So when this comes out, this is coming out on a Tuesday. We will also have had a full moon on Sunday that is in Leo. And every time we have a full moon, the moon and the sun are in opposition every month at the full moon. And so the moon is always in the opposite side as the sun for the full moon. So this full moon is in Leo, which is Aquarius's opposite. And Leo is a lot about the self. It is, stereotypically kind of self-centered. And I'm thinking of how that energy is playing out in this moment because I think that it is vital and necessary for us to have our sense of self within the group. We have to think about the group and think about who we are in the group and think about everyone else and think about our place in it. And it's always both and, balance. This is why we have the zodiac. There's so much balance and complement and opposition in this. And so thinking about this full moon in Leo of like really shining our truth and our light and our embodiment and ourselves and how we shine and how we are on our own stage and rooted in our own self and our own truth and not getting caught up in the group mind because group mind is not necessarily beneficial. It's like if everyone is thinking the same exact things and like moving with the herd, that will be like sheep running off of the cliff, right? We want to have discernment. We want to have boundaries. We want to have our sense of self. And from that vantage point, from that sense of self, be able to look at the whole and say, where am I needed? Where is my service needed? Where is my energy best used? Who am I in relation to everyone else? And really being mindful of these dynamics, being mindful of all of this, and just not getting caught up in something just to get caught up in it, because that is not us in our highest service of the greater good, in my opinion. Like, that's just not what's happening when we are a sheep running off of a cliff. Like, we have to have our sense of self, and I think that's really important. Um, so yeah, being in that greater good, being in this Aquarian energy, there's so much here. So we also have transits from Neptune and Saturn. So Saturn is a little faster moving. Saturn moves like every 2 to 3 years. That length kind of changes depending on its orbit and how it's circling us. And so that we have switching signs relatively frequently. It's not a personal planet, it is an outer planet, but it's important. It has its place in our own lives. And Neptune is an even slower moving planet. And both of those have been in Pisces. Neptune for longer. Neptune entered Pisces in April of 2011. So we've had like a big 14-year cycle of that. And things are moving. So I'm going to speak a little bit to this. And I think that, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. Pisces is deep and rich, and there are so many things about Pisces that are incredible. Like, all of the signs have their place. They all hold so much power and it's breaking up. Okay. Power and purpose and potency. And any sign that's not integrated and like in its gifts, any sign in its wounding is going to be a nightmare. And so I think that we have had a lot of wounded Pisces energy and a lot of spiritual development. This deeply spiritual mysticism, like in the dream, in this vast art, creative, expansive place. So Pisces' traditional ruler is Jupiter, and its more modern ruler is Neptune. So if we're thinking about that Jupiter part of Pisces, like Jupiter is just expansive, expansive, expansive. And that can we can get lost out there. We can really get lost in Pisces energy. I think that it's really important and potent and powerful when used in a certain way. And we can get so lost in the sauce, I think, of Pisces. And I have a Pisces moon, and believe me, like, there is sauce to get lost in. Like, we can go in this way that is really in the wounds of Pisces, which are like addiction, escapism, like no feet on the ground, really out there, really ethereal, blurred boundaries emotionally, digitally, culturally, and kind of like in this collective dream state. And I'm going to speak to this more, but I think that part of what is happening as Neptune is moving into Aries is the illusion is over. Like, it's done. And there's a lot of illusions that have been at play. Like, I think that we've been in layers of dreams, layers and layers of the dream world, and there's beauty to that, and it's time to wake up. Like, we're done. We're done. We're waking up. And then Saturn and Pisces, that's a shorter transit, but yeah, that is about confronting emotional, spiritual, energetic realities, like learning boundaries where there are none, turning intuition, healing, creativity, and spirituality into something structured, feeling the weight of uncertainty, grief, and not knowing, and being asked to be present anyway. So both of these planets entered Aries briefly in 2005. no, sorry, 2025 last year. And then they retrograded back out. So they entered Aries, they retrograded back into Pisces, and now they're moving forward for real into Aries. And I'm of the belief that this is going to literally change everything, everything. So I think we're going to see a lot of cycles ending, grieving, releasing, forgiving, losing old identities. Like the old identity, gone. And I'm about to get into that. So this like idea of floating, sensing, waiting, trusting without clarity. Like we've just been in this spiritual development stage. Like I think we've been developing our spiritual capacity. We've been getting the downloads, getting the depths. And now what's going to happen as we move into Aries, it's going to be about choice, agency, action, initiation, identity forged through doing and not dreaming. And I think like Aries is the embodiment of what we learned in Pisces. So now it's time to like apply our gifts. It's time to show up. I think that Pisces was really asking us to go into those depths, to go into those deeper layers. It was all about like this spiritual, this mining of our spiritual depths and our spiritual selves. And it was a lot about that. And now it's like, okay, you know these things. What are you going to do about it? It's going to be so much about action and doing. And gosh, I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I also wanted to comment on my shirt and comment on why I wear red every time I record a podcast because I have Mars in Aries conjunct my MC. So that is a placement that has to do with career. And not that this podcast is my career, but this podcast is a place that I show up as an authority and as someone like in my power and my purpose and in that like MC energy. And red is correlated with Mars. And I really like my Mars and Aries placement. That feels really good to me and really powerful. And I like to lean on that energy. And I think that that's like the energy we're moving toward of creation, of go, of make things happen. Like Mars has a lot of energy and power and potency. And it's all about like, I am. It's this embodiment. It's this childlike. It's first sign in the zodiac. Like we are at the 0 point of the zodiac. We're restarting this cycle for both of these planets. And it's going to be good. Like I can't help but think that it's going to be good. But anyway, I want to talk about now more of like what I've been personally experiencing, what I've been seeing in this moment, because I have been going through it. Like the last few weeks have been really brutal. If you know me or follow my work, follow my what I share, you know that I recently moved to California a few months ago, and there's been a lot that's coming up and out in that transition as moves will show us that. At first, it was like chaotic, and then I was ecstatic. I was just in this ecstatic flow of that. And then I landed and settled, and my old patterns just are really loud, like so, so loud, especially in the last 3 weeks. They've been, the volume is turned up. I have been having like crazy old loops of scarcity and like I can't do it and why isn't it happening and these old stories that are like clawing at me. Like I feel strangled by them. I feel held hostage. It feels like these scary hands that are coming up out of the grave and like have a chokehold on me. And I think that's how a lot of people are feeling. Like our old shit, the old identity is coming up to be seen, is coming up to be heard and remembered one last time. And I feel like we're seeing this like dying cry of the old systems that are like, wait, we're still here. We are gonna hold you hostage. Like we don't want your expansion. We don't want your freedom. We don't want your prosperity. We don't want all of this stuff. And it feels really weird. It feels like so at odds and in opposition of the inspiration and like the truth and the excitement and the visions and the opportunities that I'm holding and I'm stepping into. Like my life is up leveling so much. And it's almost because of that that these patterns are screaming at me and wanting to hold me captive in this old identity that I'm done with. Like I've done so much work around this. I am done, but as we all know, like the spiral is spiraling and our healing isn't linear, it's cyclical, and we just have to kind of revisit old patterns that we thought were done, that we thought were healed from time to time. And you know what? That's okay too. And it's been really hard. Like I have felt anxious and depressed and like n unwell in a lot of this. And I think that, yeah, I think that everyone I know has too. So if you've been in that space, I would invite you to just bring this awareness of this might be a moment where your old patterns and your old identity are screaming at you and trying to convince you that that's who you really are. Even if you've done a ton of work, even if you like thought that those were in the grave, now they're like climbing out, digging themselves out. Um, I'm just holding that, being with them. I've been asking myself, like, okay, instead of like gaslighting these patterns or like keeping them at arm's length, I've just been asking like what they need from me. Like I really believe that the only way that we can really transform is more from that standpoint of loving ourselves into wholeness, loving ourselves into the next version of our identity. It's like not about rejection of the self. Sometimes it's about a firm boundary. Like I do sometimes need to tell myself, like, we're not going down this path anymore. We're done. Like, thank you, we're done. But I think I've just also been asking those parts of me like, what they need. Because any part of us often just needs to be seen and heard and acknowledged and accepted. And when we do that, it dissolves. Easier said than done, but a magical framework to use and work with. Um, so yeah, within all of this, like I think we are living in amazing times. Like the times that we are in are so exciting. I'm so excited to be here, to be a bridge, to be someone who is here like to support the collective, to hold the vision when other people can't because I have the capacity and the privilege and the ability to see a future for us all that is beautiful and abundant and correct for like how nature would like us to be living. And yeah, I think we are living in this moment where it is possible to have heaven on earth, right? We look around and we can support the amount of people that are on this planet. Like we have actually the resources and the ability to feed and clothe and house and like allow everyone to be on this planet in way more comfort than they currently are. And so if that is possible, if that is possible from an earth point of view, which it is, there's so much insane excess and waste, then that means that it's possible. And A Course in Miracles says that as soon as a problem arises, so does the solution. So I'm of the opinion that all of the solutions that we need are here. And it takes our participation. It takes us fucking showing up, maybe in even more radical ways than any of us ever have, myself included. Like this whole pep talk is for me too. But I really do think that the biggest thing that's holding us back is our own minds, our own limitations, our own perception of what we think is real. And we have to get out of that. Like we have to break our own constraints, our own structures of power within us that aren't honoring our whole self so that we can break the structures of power that are holding us collectively in these cycles. And I think this is about to happen. And I pray that it happens peacefully. I pray that it happens like for the people, of the people, by the people, in the truest sense of, I think, what those words have the potential to mean. I also just want to mention this because I'm thinking of it, but if you're struggling with this, I created this string of practices that I call Abundant Radiant Heart, and I find this to be really fortifying and really powerful because last night I was like, what is happening? I was really deep in these patterns in my own self, and I was looking around at the insane life I've created, the insane abundance that I'm constantly cultivating and moving toward. And I am having this moment where I'm just like, what is going on the inside? What is going on? And so I asked my deck, so I love this deck. This is the Thoth deck by Aleister Crowley. The guy knows how to make a tarot deck. This deck is really powerful. This is like one of the only decks I work with for really like deep understanding. I'll pull cards from other decks for fun, but if you want truth, this deck is spot on. So I pulled this card last night, the Tower. And it was funny because in my two Instagram posts that I did the other day, I was like, we're in a tower moment, everyone. And yeah, I really felt this tower moment. And what that means to me is that the tower has to fall. These like structures that I'm holding in place, this idea that I'm holding in place is just like this old false identity. And like my mind is the only thing that is keeping me from my wildest dreams, from the prayers that I know are here. And it feels so close. Like everything that I'm envisioning and calling in and how I want to move through my day and the things that I want to do and create and the ways that I want to be in service to the world feel like 1 centimeter away. Like I already feel like I'm living them. I feel like I can't see them. And that's funny because there's an eye on this. Crowley uses a lot of Egyptian symbolism in this deck. And I feel like, yeah, it's like that third eye has to be opened. And in order for the third eye to be opened, for me to actually see what is true and real, the illusion has to fall. The tower has to fall. And this is the moment that we're in. Like the illusions need to fall for all of us, like in our own minds and in the collective. And then the second question I asked is, okay, so if I'm in this tower moment, how can I move through that moment with more ease? And I pulled abundance, which totally makes sense for me because I think that like this is the antidote as a state of being. Because so much of what I'm seeing and doing and have legitimately created is abundance in my life. Like this has been something that I have been cultivating in every way, in the truest sense of this word. And abundance is like time, community, friends, um, just thought patterns, abundant thought patterns. Like that changes everything. And being out of this old scarcity that I think is very Saturnian, is very constricted, is very just not what we want, not what we want. Um, and so really moving through that with that abundance. And so I started saying this before I remembered the cards and felt like they really fit in that moment. But this string of practices, it's a Kundalini meditation for abundance. It's tapping and it's also this prayer and some work around this book. And I kid you not, this set of practices I've been doing subconscious reprogramming, like every sort of thing for many years, for well over a decade. Like I read Joe Dispenza's books when I was in my very early 20s and have been working on that's the other thing. Like I feel like we have to change the words working on. I've been moving toward and incorporating and learning how to escape my own past identities and create from the future, create from the energy that I already want to be in. And out of everything that I've done, this practice moved mountains for me last year. So I'm going to link it in the show notes. I'm going to give you guys a discount for February. Just if you need a practice, if you want some stability, it's about 30 minutes for 40 days. And it made my life change so fast. Like, if I swear by this, I've done it for many years, but this year I really refined it and added in the prayer and the tapping, and it was like quicksilver. It was lightning to move me from where I was to where I wanted to be. So fast, so many miracles came in, so many opportunities. I was actually shocked. But I wanted to just say that, like, I think it's $39 right now. I don't know what the discount is. I'll do it, but I'm thinking to give it to you for like 20. So essentially half off, because this support is so important. And if you're struggling with those old patterns, this like cuts through those old patterns, especially around prosperity and abundance. And abundance in thought, abundance in mindset, abundance in heart, abundance in love, community. Like, I'm really not talking about finance, although a lot of money came to me when I did this in the weirdest ways, that it was like all gifts, all opportunities. It wasn't connected to working harder. Okay, I'm on one, which I like. Um, so I also saw this. Okay, I'm going into a different realm now that's about how I really think that the materialists did us really dirty. And I think that we're moving from this Newtonian materialist construct of the world into this quantum spiritual world. And I saw this quote actually like a really long time ago, and it's just come back to me recently. And I don't know where I saw this. I don't know what it was, but I just like remember it written. I can see the script, and it said that science is for the peasants and energetics and astrology are for the ruling class, which I think is so interesting, like as an idea of having people in this constriction of everything that needs to be measurable, right? Being constrained to the material world and thinking that like what we can see, what we can measure is all that there is. And I think that that's where that's where we've gone astray in many ways. And I also had this quote that I saw at a friend's grandma's house on like one of those live, laugh, love type of like wall decals that said, walk by faith, not by sight, right? It's from the Bible. I don't know what passage. I wasn't raised Christian. I'm not familiar with the Bible in the way that it's set up. But walking by faith and not by sight, I think that we have been so heavily reliant on sight. We think that like what we see is real. And especially with AI, this is a whole other loop and podcast, but I'm going to bring it in quickly. We're no longer actually able to confirm things by sight, right? Like a picture is no longer a a pillar of truth. Like a picture does no longer render truth. So if that is true, I think that that is going to catapult us into the quantum, is going to reconnect us with God, because we're going to have new measurements for truth. And I want to have a friend on to have this podcast about truth, because him and I have been having this conversation about it, because truth is actually something that evolves as humanity evolves. And he's done a lot of deep dives into like how truth has evolved over the ages. And I think that that is going to be really interesting. And I think that our breakup with the material world is going to be so good for all of us, because God has never been measurable. And I think miracles aren't measurable. Like the truth of existence isn't measurable. I think we've kind of like tricked ourselves into thinking that we have any idea what's going on. And I really don't think we do. And I've referenced this a lot, but Elizabeth Gilbert was on Tim Ferriss's podcast, and she was like, we don't even know what's happening, and we don't even know the right questions to ask. And I am with her. I think that the idea that we have a sense of like science and reality is hilarious. Hilarious. I think we know a fraction of how all of this works, a fraction. because God isn't measurable. God is this fabric of existence that is so vast, we cannot comprehend it with our human mind. And how could we measure it? How could we say like anything? And I think that we are moving into the quantum, we're moving away from these Newtonian rules, and thank goodness. Um, Also, there's this quote that is attributed to Einstein somehow, and he never said it. So delete that from your mind. But it says that the medicine of the future is going to be frequency. And I think that whoever came up with that idea and however it got attributed to Einstein, I think that they're on to something. I think we are going to return to our frequency. We are going to return to remembering our being, that we are spiritual beings, that we are frequency beings, that we are light and soul and a lot less matter than we think. And I've been also like, continuously studying subconscious reprogramming the quantum. And if we're thinking of quantum physics, which is like we're both wave and particle, and I think we've been really on this idea that like we are particle, we are matter, we are material, we are solid, right? Because that's like so much of what we experience as we experience reality as pretty solid. And I think that our frequency cells are the wave. They are these light waves on Earth. And this is a slight tangent, but I just really want to mention it because I think that there's something to this. And I often hesitate to talk about things that are too scientific because I am not a scientist. I don't study these things. I'm not even super well versed in like the correct language to use. And I just want to try and like play with the ideas because I can feel things more than I necessarily can articulate them. And there's something here of just being our frequency selves. And our frequency is held in our energy, which is our mitochondria. And our mitochondria is connected to light, it's connected to the sun, it's connected to the sun, but it's also light is connected to our soul. So there's something here. I can't explain it yet. I am hoping to have this woman on the podcast who like works in this realm, although she speaks in riddles, so I can't even understand what she says, but I also know that she's correct. And when a baby is conceived, when a zygote is created, there is a zinc spark, and there's this flash of light that happens, and that I believe, like the Catholics, but different, that at the moment of conception is when the soul is tethered to the body through light, and that we are light and we are connected to light, and that we need to be feeding our light, and that our frequency is our light, and this is all connected. And there's something here. I can't explain it, but I wanted to just like note that because I think that this year you're going to hear this. This is going to be talked about broadly. Like there's going to be some sort of scientific breakthrough or something that's going to be talking about this a lot. So I just want to like plant this seed and say that our frequency beingness is going to be up leveled. Like we are light, we are always from light to light, by light, for light. There's light involved, just believe me. And with that, with our frequency, it means that our relationship to everything matters and that all of our experiences matter. I think that we're all going to become really sensitive and become like more online because there's going to be all of these shifts and there's going to be this collective remembering of who we really are and what we're really capable of. And that's going to be tied to our light and that's going to be tied to our frequency. And I've been experiencing this over the last few years in my own body, in my own being. And I have been a really highly sensitive person my whole life. And I've really rejected that for a long time. I've rejected so much of who I am because it makes me not normal. It makes me feel different. It makes me feel on the outside. It makes me not able to just like do the things that a lot of my friends were doing, especially when I was in high school and when I was in college and when I was younger. And the volume on that has also been turning up because for me to live my life and be in service and do the work that I want to do, I have to be in like complete alignment with what I say, what I think. I have to be in absolute alignment and integrity. Ultimately, that's incredible. Like, that is such a gift. That is such a power and something that I am ultimately grateful for. And it means that, like, any deviation on my path, I've been having like so many repercussions, and God has been really directing me and really narrowing what I'm able to experience and taking away all of my vices. Like men, like romantic encounters that are not beneficial, alcohol, I can barely tolerate anymore. Um, like I have to be in total alignment, in total purity is what it feels like. And I think there's been this part of me that has numbed that and like been not interested in that. The hypersensitivity that I feel is uncomfortable and it requires so much from me. Like sometimes I just want to like be a normal person, like just relax and like do what everyone else is doing and not think about all of the things that I think about and like shut that down, which I do think is sort of a very Neptune and Pisces, like numbing, rejecting, like wanting to be, not see the vision clearly, wanting to be in the illusion. And over the last few years, I've just been tunneled more and more into who I really am, which ultimately, heck yes, is such a gift. But it's like the percentage that I'm able to step out of alignment is getting smaller and smaller. It's like, oh no, you can't be 80% in alignment. You can't be 90% in alignment. You need to be 99.9% in alignment, which I'm grateful for, as I've said a few times. And I sometimes just don't want to be thinking about it. It's not that I don't want to be in alignment or not in integrity. I just want to like eat a pizza and lay on the couch and like fuck around. And anytime I do that, I get reprimanded. Like maybe I'll share the story of of being out of alignment romantically, and literally it sent me to the ER. Like I can't make this up, and I can't do things that aren't in alignment for me. And so with that, instead of trying to be out of alignment, I'm working on stepping into who I am more fully and stepping into that power, stepping into that purity code that I hold of all of this. And I'm mentioning all of this because this is quantum. This is happening for all of us. If any of us are out of alignment, I think that we are going to experience effects. And I think it's that volume is going to get turned up so high. So if things are happening in your life and you're like, what's going on? I would really start tracking. I would really start paying attention to where you're deviating from your path. And not to say that we need to be Puritans, not to say that we need to be like a certain thing. It's just for me, my path has to be a certain way for me to feel vital, for me to feel like I am serving in service and in the work that I'm here to do. Um, yeah, and so in this frequency, I think like flower essences make so much sense, homeopathy makes so much sense as these frequency medicines. I think we're going to see an explosion in frequency medicines like Healy. I don't know if these are light frequency. I don't know if these are sound frequency, probably all of the above. But I think that we're going to see so much, and it's really exciting because I think it's going to be for our betterment, for our evolution. And the world is just about to explode into this. Like, I think that it's going to feel like breakneck pace because a lot of it has already happened. Like, there are so many incredible inventions that have, for whatever reason, been like hidden, shoved down, not shown to the public. Med beds. We're going to see huge advances in medicine and technology. Like I can't explain it, but I'm certain of this. I just know this to be True. And the old system has been like not wanting us to be expanded, not wanting us to be well. But I think it's really important and it's all crumbling. And I think we also are going to see just this huge return to nature, to simplicity, to these systems that are inherent to us. And I just saw that, I don't even know what this meeting is called, the one in Davos. And there's kind of this condemnation of globalism right now, which I think is interesting because I think I saw all these headlines. I haven't even read these pieces. Don't come at me. I will. I just, we only have so much time in a day. But what I did know is this idea of moving away from globalism. And I think there's two sides to this idea. I don't think it's like cut and dry. I don't think it's black and white. And I think that globalism has had a lot of harm, and everything that I was seeing was saying that globalism has really failed us. And I think there's truth to that. And I think we need to like look at that in a really particular way and think about the each country and their gifts and their people and how we really need to find a new system because what is happening isn't working. And there's immense beauty in our globalism and in our cross-cultural exchanges and in our collaboration. And I think that there's just ways that it's been done that have been incorrect. And so maybe that's it of just like we need to reframe everything. All of the systems need to be torn down, built from scratch, new everything. And I always joke with my friends and say that I am a socialist libertarian. And those are seemingly opposing ideas, and yet I really see them as being executed in the form of a village. And I think that this is like where we need to move. I think we have to have a return to the village, a return to finding and creating communities that align with who we are and having less higher up power structures telling us how to live, which is that libertarian leaning side, and within the communities creating these networks where like everyone is fucking taken care of, like in a big way. Not only surviving, but thriving in these communities. And when you think about it, it feels like that is the only way to do this. Like, I don't know of this big globalist way that we can do this. Like, we need to live in like this solves so many of the issues that we have, and I don't know if it's possible, but I think it is a viable solution. It's like, okay, if you're living in a community, like money, things become more and more obsolete because you don't need them. If you structure communities in this way that takes care of the whole, that takes care of the group, that's in this Aquarian energy of the group, and then finding those groups that align with who you are and how you want to live, because there's a lot of different ways to live. There's a lot of different truths. I believe in like some ultimate truths, but I don't believe in an ultimate truth in terms of like how one should live, you know? I think that that's a very weird, where narrow, very Western. I actually think it's a really colonial idea that like the way of doing things has to be this certain way. I'm getting the image of like when white settlers came to the United States, obviously completely inhabited by indigenous people, and they were growing these really complex food forests. And the white settlers were like, how are they're not even doing agriculture? They didn't recognize it, and they felt like it wasn't being done correctly. And we have like completely just, it's this conquistador mindset that is atrocious to me personally. Um, so within that, I'm talking about a lot of things. Bear with me. I'm excited. There's a lot of ideas. But coming into a local space, we have so much more power to create impact, to be in the here and now, be in the physical, like get off of our phones and get into nature, into the world, like actually being that change we want to see in it by participating. And the only way we can participate is where we are physically, which means in our local spaces, in our local communities. So that's that. I also just wanted to talk about this book by Julia Watson. It's called Low Tech, Design for Radical Indigenism. And it's all about going back to the simple things, going back to mostly this book is about agriculture and how, this is like permaculture essentially, but permaculture is just how everyone planted and utilized resources in a really intelligent way. And we need to go back to nature. We need to go back to this simplicity, to regeneration, to all of these things because we are literally living on this insane, amazing planet that creates food and water and sunlight. And we have so much intelligence. Humans are fucking brilliant if we want to be. And we have got to get it together. We've got to get it together. And it's time. This is the time for it. So let's wake up because the illusion is falling. We are going to have I think the illusion, the separation, all of these things, all of these veils, they are changing. And I think we are having this collective mass remembering. And thank goodness, because I don't think that the old world is ending. I just think the illusion is crumbling. We've been running this old paradigm, and I think this truer truth is about to come through. And I think that if we cling to the past, I think if we cling to what we think is true, we're going to see a lot of suffering. If we're holding on to that past identity, if we're holding on to that past self, like both our personal self and our collective self, I think it's going to be chaotic. I think it's going to be not it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good. It's not going to feel easy. It's not going to look good because I feel like we think that there's a right and a wrong. We think that there's a black and a white. We've really become so polarized in so many spaces that we've forgotten that like the people hold the power and it's so easy to just be pitted against everyone and having our energy really circulating in really unhealthy, unproductive ways. And that's where I think we need to radically look at this and think of a third option. Like we need a third option. We need to kind of get out of this or this. There's endless options. But we have to know that for ourselves first. And that's our own stories, our own beliefs, our own identities, and completely obliterating the old self, honestly. Like, I'm ready to obliterate that self. And yes, I was talking about like loving myself into fullness, and that's part of it. And I think it's kind of time to put some hard lines up and be like, we're done. I've loved you into wholeness. Now we're done. We're moving forward. Let's go. Because we're about to see seismic shifts. And I'm also tempted to think that the world is going to split into people who can see that and people who can't. And I encourage you to be on the side of possibility, the side of optimism, the side of potential, and really not like stop looking at the things that are telling you otherwise, would be my suggestion and thought. And start acting in your life and in your world and impacting the people closest to you, your family, your friends, your community, and getting involved because that feels really good. And when I do that and when I look around, I only see good things happening and beautiful things happening, and people who care, and people who have huge hearts, and people who are insanely generous and abundant and like want good things for all of us. So I would say we have to really tune our frequency to that station because there's a lot of sources that are grabbing your attention because our attention and our energy are everything. Like that is who we are. I'm just looking at these notes, but yeah, I also think that like with all of this, I believe that our inherent state is tapped into the field, is psychic, is all of that. Like that is normal. And not being attuned to that, I think, is like that's been this dream, this illusion that we've been in. So I really think that people's psychic abilities are coming online and going to be coming online, and everyone's going to feel like they're psychic and everything's kismet and they just knew this thing. Trust that. Lean into that so much. Like, trust yourself, trust your pings, trust your nudges, trust your intuition, trust the things that are coming through and follow them. And that is why I do the work that I do. If you want to cultivate this, if you want to cultivate your abilities, your truth, your wholeness, your psychic self, um, my next inner prism, which is all about like looking at the inner prism. It's called inner prism because it is all about seeing clearly and reflecting that internal, outternal, internal, external relationship and cultivating that and trusting that and knowing that is real and true and here for you and that like the outside reflects the inside and the inside reflects the outside and everything is connected and we are here to advance humanity in big ways. And I think we're going to remember that. We're going to remember so many of our abilities and gifts as humans. And I think that it's going to be this like mass awakening. Like we're going to be um we're going to be like rising. Wait, what is it's the card is Eon in this deck, but it's um Revelation. What is it called? See, I don't have a Christian background. It's like the souls are going to be rising from the graves, and we are going to be remembering who we really are and why we're really here. And I think it's so exciting. And I think that just some of the resistance to that and some of the things that are coming up for people is because it's going to actually bring us into our power and into our sovereignty. And we've been living in this time where people have essentially been telling us what to do, what to think, who to be, how to move through the world. And like there are no rules, and those rules no longer apply if you're willing to not apply them, right? This is that part of like you have to let go of your old identity in order to shift gears and to be in this state and to usher that in for others too. Like we've been hearing this word sovereignty a lot, and I understand why. Because to move into this new zone. And like Aries is the energy of sovereignty. Aries is I am. It's rooted, it's planted. It is about orienting toward the world from your own self and your own vantage point. And I think that people are really addicted to being told like where to go to school, how to do this thing. And I think that that is uncomfortable. And like some of the ways that like the government is pulling back, pulling out of these systems right now is an opportunity. And that is like where the village becomes important. It is an opportunity to create what you want. You don't have to follow their rules. And you don't have to leave people behind. But that puts the responsibility on us. And you want to know what? That doesn't feel good. That feels uncomfortable because it means that we have to be generous, that we have to create things that don't exist, that we have to become less self-serving, that we have to think about the whole, that we have to think about the collective because the government isn't doing that for us. And I actually think that that's going to be good in the long run. But yes, it's uncomfortable right now if like public funding is being pulled, if things are being rearranged, like with great volatility comes great opportunity, but you must look at it in that way. And I think that people are just so addicted to suffering, to victimhood, to numbing, to these old Pisces, like the wounds of Pisces. Like we are in major numbing victimhood, not looking, not taking responsibility. And that is all about to change because it's time to change. Like we have to change that. And I think we have to pull ourselves out of that. We have to step into our sovereignty, into our knowing, into our power, and into our doing selves. Like I'm so tired of like performative activism and these ways that people think that we have to show up online. Like I don't like that shouldn't matter anymore. And I think that we, yeah, we need to move into this new zone and the planets are ushering it in. We might not even have to make the choice. We might be forced into the choice. And that might be uncomfortable. And that is where like being resourced and having an expansive world view right now is going to be so important, so vital, like for you. This is happening for us. You are here for this moment. This moment is about you as much as it is about all of us. And your evolution is everyone's evolution. And like we can do this together. The solutions are there, the abundance is there. This earth is vibrant and alive, and she's calling out for her to co-collaborate with her in ancient ways. Like the future is ancient. If you've ever heard that phrase or seen that phrase, that is what this means. Is like we have to go back to leap forward. We have to remember the inherent cycles of creation, the inherent cycles of this earth, of each other, and we have to remember who we are and why we're here. And we have to wake up and we need to do it quickly. It's time. Like we've done the numbing, we've done the drinking and the disassociating. It's time to be embodied. It's time to be in the fire and the power of initiation, of creation, and I can't I can't tell you how happy and excited I am to be here. And that's not to say that it's going to be easy, but it's going to be real. And I think that's what we all actually are craving. We're craving a return to humanity. We're craving a return to wholeness. We're craving a return to ourselves and to the people we love. And we can have that. And it's time to have that. So, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited for the coming episodes that we are going to have. We have Shiva Rose on next week and a lot of incredible, powerful guests coming talking about this kind of thing. So, if this resonates with you, if this feels good, I really hope that it does and that you're here for it. Please share this with a friend, share this with your communities. I really want to be this bridge, and it means all of us being the bees that are pollinating and sharing ideas. So share this with a friend. Like, rate, subscribe, come hang out. And I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your comments. You can find me on Instagram at inner double underscore tide, and that will be linked, and on Current Wave. So DM me. Like, I want to have these conversations. I'm really here for it. Give me your thoughts, give me your questions. I also want to do a Q&A, so hopefully we'll do that too. Okay. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and tuning in. And yeah, I will see you all next week.